Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and also I am joined by Sunita Allister, my co host. How are you today, Sunita?
I'm good, Prince. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, and I am super excited for us to get into this video topic. So, for those of you who may or may not know, in our channel, we always every year do a video that's like the top three VoIP service providers of 2019 or 2020 or 2021. Um, we also have something called the VoIP Awards, which I'll tag in the video above for those of you who want to check that out, where we go a little bit of a step further and we not only talk about what the top providers are. We talk about who was like best customer service for the previous year, best, most advanced features, easiest to use, most user friendly platform, things like that. And I stumbled upon an article, and actually, the way that I stumbled upon this article was because Nextiva made a post on LinkedIn that they got best business phone system of 2021 from usnews.com for I believe it was the third or the fourth time consecutive years in a row. And so I thought, what better way than to go through their list of what they're claiming is the top 10 best voice over IP service providers. And then Sunita and I, since we work with this almost daily every day, we kind of go through and give our own commentary on what we think, whether this is the number one or number two or whatever. So, Sunita, we're going to have some fun with this one. So, let me just read a quick excerpt from this article. And for those of you who want to see the article, I'll have a link to this article in the description below if you want to follow along or just check out our claims and see what we're talking about here. But it says on here, let's see here. I want to find a specific part. Okay. Best business phone systems in detail. Picking a business phone system is more complex than just selecting a new phone. The service needs to be reliable, provide high quality communications without static or delays, and connect your employees and customers in a way that's effective for your particular company. The companies in our unbiased rating of the best business phone systems do just that, through each with a different approach. See our full reviews of each for more details. So we're going to go through their best and we're going to kind of comment on this. So Sunita, the first one that they are claiming, of course, as I already mentioned, is number one for their best business phone system for 2021 is Nextiva. What are your honest thoughts on that before I hop in and tell you what I think? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. So, Prince, as you are working more than I am working with all of these service providers and in this industry, although I've been working with the customer service end, so I am somehow able to, tell you my honest opinion through the customer perspective, and which is that Nextiva has tried and done so well so far, especially within this year, in the start until the mid of this year, that I think that it is going to be the right spot for them, which
Yeah.
makes them at the right spot, being on the top position, or you can say being the number one in the industry. I think they deserve this slot.
Okay. Are there a couple are there one or more reasons you think that by way of maybe customer service or platform or anything like that? Anything in specific that comes to mind of
Okay.
why you think that?
Best part is they are just always there for the customer, whether it's the start of the process until the demos happen. In case the demo they don't happen and the customer just decides to, just start with the new service, they are just there in case. I just tell them to, just be there and just, they need a little bit assistance to get on board or with the startup setup, because it's
Yeah.
just totally new system for them. Because if I have to select from the network providers and or an internet service, it's going to be very easy for me because majority is using that. But when the VoIP services come to someone's mind, it is something like, some alien perspective like they have for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's something, yeah, they offer that, they search on Google, and Google can give them just millions of options which lead them to nowhere, like, like 10, 20, 15, or so many pages filled with the options of the VoIP services, but still they have no idea. Even after doing their own research, they are not sure that this actually is going to be the right option. Because once you're on board, what is going to be the baddest position to be on, not to be in touch or to be in a position to get hold of anybody who can just listen to you in case you're having some trouble or any problem, or to ask something. And I am one of those customers who would like to just quit, and just to leave the certain uh, provider if they
Yeah,
cannot assist me. Yeah. So I think they stand at the top position just because of their, not because of the features they offer, the service, but of the customer service
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. The funny thing is they actually won our best customer service award earlier this year in February for the VoIP Awards. And what you said is one of the biggest reasons why we gave them that award, because exactly what you said. Even though they may not have as advanced features as, say, somebody like a
Mm,
Talk Desk, or may not have been around as long as somebody like a Vonage or something like that, or even a RingCentral, there's something to be said for having really good customer service and implementation, especially, like as you said, for a customer that, as far as they're concerned, a voice over IP system or a phone system in general, it's just a completely alien thing to them. Not only do they not know anything about how to implement it or use it from the start by first adopting it, that shouldn't be their job. If I was, say, not in this industry and I was an attorney or a doctor and I need a new phone system, why should I have to specialize in that new phone system? I really, like, I want that thing to do what I need it to do and be taken care of so that I can go back to being an attorney or being a doctor or whatever it may be.
mm.
So, moving on to number 2 on their list, they have Dialpad on the list. I noticed in the past week you've actually worked with Dialpad a little more than usual. So now I'm curious, and you've even gone through some of their technical trainings and stuff like that in the past. What is your thoughts on Dialpad being the number 2 spot on here? Why do you think they deserve that in the eyes of U.S. News? And if so, why? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. Dialpad personally is one of my top favorites. Top favorites. Like, if in case I have to use them, I'll be more than happy to do it, because what they offer is totally different from what others offers are. I mean, with the with as compared to the features and what you can say, the customer service,
Yeah,
everything is just so unique when it comes to Dialpad. And recently, when as you were just talking, that I have worked with them, few of my customers, they actually wanted Dialpad themselves, and they were so happy, and like more than happy for me to assist them to get Dialpad. Not only because we can just get them some good pricing, because they were what their actual words were, we actually know them better, and if we are going to do it, they'll make sure that they provide them the good and good services and the right customer services and backups support as well. So Dialpad, I think, is at the rightful position. I'm more than happy to see them there.
yeah. And it's funny because out of all the Dialpad customers I've worked with, I literally can't think of a single one that had a complaint about anything. Like, really.
Mm,
Like, the only complaint, or I wouldn't say it's a complaint, it's more of an obstacle. The only issue that I've ever had with Dialpad is that they're not typically the best fit for micro businesses. Like
mm,
somebody that's got one extension or only 2 employees or 3 employees. Their sweet spot tends to be around, I want to say, like the 6 or 7 to 10 extensions and higher. So it's like, never heard anybody complain about them. It's just some of the very small businesses don't really pre-qualify for that pricing or for the service. But like you said, everything else there is pretty stellar. It's just they kind of cater to a different market. Um,
mm,
so moving on to number 3, and this is going to be a fun one for both of us because I'm actually staring at a giant banner from these guys that they sent me in the corner. You guys can't see it, but there's a huge, like, 5.5, 6 foot tall banner in front of me, as well as I think you and I both over the course of the past week, we've probably sent like several quotes to these guys. But coming in at number 3 is RingCentral. I'm going to go first on this one, and then I'm going to let you follow me. RingCentral actually won our most advanced feature-rich platform for 2021 VoIP Awards. Um, while their customer service, I would never say is the best in the industry, it has definitely improved since I started working with them about 3 to 4 years ago. Um,
mm,
Their price is not always the most competitive, but you get what you pay for. Hence the reason why they got our most feature rich platform. They also have probably one of the better mobile apps out there and one of the better desktop apps and team collaboration tools, which nowadays, post pandemic, post COVID-19, I mean, that's huge to have the best mobile, some of the better, more robust mobile features. That's why I think they deserve number three. And in some ways, I feel like, I'm just being honest, I feel like they would have gotten number two in my book under Nextiva, but or maybe come right in line. But what's your honest thoughts?
I somewhere agree with you, but at the same time, I think they have earned their spot to the third place. I mean, they are really the top best, and they deserve to be one of the top three or top four or top five, because as you have already said that they have improved a lot when it comes to the customer service and customer support. Areas, and plus they are just feature rich, and there is so much which they can offer you. And if you are paying them, you think that you are paying them more than you are paying to somebody else, they deserve this because they are actually justifying whatever you are paying to them. So I think they are at their rightful spot over here.
Yeah, I get a lot of folks that'll call me up and they'll be like, "I saw your Ring Central videos and I saw the demos that you did on your channel with some of their engineers, and I want it at the cheapest price you can get." And I'll be like, "Well, before we even go down that road, define cheapest price." And they're like, "Oh, I want it for like $9 an extension." And I'm like, "No, man, like that." I
Happens.
told them like that. You get what you pay for in this world. You really do.
It happens with me as well because they say that the prices are too high, and I do. I mean, uh, we do care for the customers, and we do care for when it comes to the cost and pricing.
Yeah,
That's why we have just set a system which can offer them some good pricing and to get some good discounts. But again, it is what you are getting, what you're paying, so you can just get the best. If you're not paying just $9 and $10, you cannot just expect some service which is going to be up to the par and
yeah,
some next level. The other magazine and some other article is just talking about it and putting them into the first top five position, so it's different.
yeah, yeah. So, moving on to, and for those of you who are watching this article or who see the link or following along, it's weird. They've got like number one, number two, number three, and then there's multiple number threes and multiple number sevens. But we're just going to assume that this is a top 10 list, because I think this is maybe a typo in the article since there's a 10 towards the bottom. But GoToConnect is coming up as, I guess, what they would call number four. I'm going to go first again on this one. So, for those of you who may or may not know, GoToConnect is kind of part of that whole conglomerate that still owns or used to own Grasshopper. For those of you who've been to this channel, you know that we're not too fond of Grasshopper. So, even though in fairness, the GoToConnect voice over IP system is it is a very much different animal than Grasshopper. It's what was formerly called Jive Communications, but I'm not sure that I agree that it's number four in comparison to some of these other ones in here that are numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, and on to 10. Their video platform is great because their GoToConnect, GoToMeeting, for those of you who are watching, it comes from that whole GoToMeeting thing. It's part of that conglomerate. But the VoIP package is interesting, but I don't know. Have never really quoted them very much. I've only ever had people that are calling to cancel it or just looking at it as an option. And then after they look at it with all the other cards on the table, they end up going a route that's not GoToConnect. What's your thoughts there, Sunita? I don't know that you've ever worked with GoToConnect, even though we represent them. What's your honest thoughts?
Yes, I actually have never worked with them, but yes, I did receive some calls from our clients who wanted to cancel the services or wanted to just switch from this platform to somebody who can just offer them more features than they are actually offering them. Because the video platform, as you said, they also said that it's good, but apart from them, they actually cannot just bring them as much as everybody else can bring on the table, because they are just something very limited. And I won't say more than that, but yes, I do get some
Yeah.
curious. that if we can just help them to just leave this service and just switch to somebody else who is just a bit better than this.
Yeah, yeah. So coming in at number 5 is 8x8. Have you worked with 8x8 or have any experience with them? Because if not, I'll take this one. What's your thoughts on 8x8, if anything?
Again, it was one of those from which my clients wanted to switch to. So I have never worked with them, but I have dealt with people who were just not happy with having it.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I hate to really rag on 8x8 in this, but you know what? For those of you who are watching this channel, you know we keep it real here. Um, I have never, if I had to, I mean, you and I probably work with what, like 100, we probably get like 80 to 120 requests a month of people that want to use our consulting service to try to find the best internet or communication solution. And I could count the amount of people since we started this company, since we started doing this some years back, on, I could count the amount of people that have called me asking for 8x8 or asking for a quote or to see a demo. I could count them all on both hands. And I, I don't know why that is. I don't know, even though we represent them, I don't know enough about their platform to say yay or nay, but I've heard some things about the customer service that are interesting, to say the least. In regards to it could be better, and that it hasn't really improved, at least the last that I've heard, and that's usually been the biggest reason. The two biggest reasons that I've seen people that are leaving 8x8, it's price. And I've seen some of the quotes, and I will not name who those customers are, what those prices were, but knowing what I know about the industry, the prices were slightly outrageous at the time compared to like providers and like features. And then the other thing, outside of price, was the customer service. Was the people just saying, "I can't get these issues resolved. I can't get them to respond, or take me seriously. Like, just get me out of this." So, and that's all we'll say about that, unless you unless you have anything else to add before we move on to number 6.
Hmm.
Anything else or nothing else for 8x8?
You have said all.
Okay. So coming in at number 6, and oh boy, this is going to be an interesting one, is Vonage. So for those of you who may or may not know, Vonage got our best. Vonage got the ultimate award earlier this year for the VoIP Awards in February. So they got it for 2020's performance, but we do our VoIP Awards in February. So you could say for 2020 performance, Vonage got Service Provider of the Year award. Um, they also, for 3 years straight, thus far, for 2019, 2020, and 2021, got VoIP Service Provider of the Year with us. So we're no stranger to Vonage. They're one of the top, they're definitely in our top 3 most recommended. But in fairness, ever since earlier this year, when Vonage made some interesting changes to their customer service, we have honestly seen a pretty significant decline on our end in just the public trust towards how they would be taken care of from an implementation or customer service standpoint. And that does vary by the type of customer you are, like the size you are and what features you need, and if you're on the basic platform or the call center. But I don't know that I would say that puts them in the number 6 spot. I personally would still consider them have been in the top 3, like potentially alongside Nextiva and RingCentral. That's just me, and it's partly because even though their customer service has definitely taken a toll in comparison to recent years, Vonage still tends to be, in my opinion, one of the most easiest platforms to use, and also the base platform tends to have the features that most every business needs, regardless of whether you're a one-person micro business or you've got 20 people or even 50 people. Okay, so Sunita, that being said, what is your honest opinions on Vonage being number 7 on this list? Do you agree or disagree with it? And just what's your honest opinions in general of Vonage being on this list?
Okay, so not out of some favoritism or something that I am in love with Vonage just because of some personal reason, but yes, as it's the work relation, and as I work here, as you have already said that I work with them a lot, like 5 times a day, and usually me and Alex, we are just exchanging emails even when it's Saturday or Sunday. So it's just like that. We have a relationship, a very good work relationship, and we know them very well now. So I'm not happy to see them honestly at the spot 7 because they don't deserve that. They work a lot and they are just quite, good enough to be on spot 7. And this is my another kitty, one of the 13 ones.
He's the awake one. He's not the sleeping one. Yeah.
Exactly. That, yeah.
I think yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I don't know that Vonage deserves the number 7 spot. I mean, even or I'm sorry, number 6. Is it number 6 or number 7? It's number
I
6
think
spot.
it's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even even though like I said their customer service has taken an interesting turn over the past like 8 to 10 months or what at the time of this video 10 months. 10 to 11 months or whatever. I don't know that they should be in the number 6 spot. Um, I think that they should still be in the top 5 at least, or even in the top 3 because of the ease of use. And because of also, in my opinion, they're one of the most competitive out there in regards to price. Any more thoughts on Vonage before we move on? Because speaking of price, the next one that comes up is going to be interesting. But any more thoughts in regards to Vonage?
Well, as you know that I've been into so many trainings while it was, concerned to get to know more about Vonage and doing the university with them and everything. And after that, working with them and working with the clients who are just actually happy with Vonage, though there are some points which are lacking, as you have already talked about them, but still, Vonage still doesn't deserve to be on spot 6, spot 5 or something because
Spot
it is,
6, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it is again like they deserve to be on somewhere around like 1 to 4 or first, second, third position because they are the most compatible ones, most competitive and compatible in a way because they are cost friendly, they are user friendly.
Yeah.
It's the most easiest to use application which they offer, and plus their customer service, though there is some lacking these days, I'll be honest about it, but still the process to get to get on board with Vonage and throughout the process and while using the application and the desktop app and the IP phones, it is actually a very awesome kind of user experience. So I am in a huge favor of Vonage to be in the somewhere in the top 4 or top 3 positions.
Yeah, yeah. I was a little shocked to see them in the 6th position on here as well. Moving on. So next, because we mentioned price and competitive. Moving on, it looks like the number 7 spot is Ooma. Um, Even though Uma's been around a while, we're kind of new to Uma. I've seen a couple of demos of it, and one of the things that's interesting with Uma is they can get really competitive on price, sometimes better than Vonage and some of the other guys out there. Um, and they they boast that they have this thing where they can do same day implementation, even for users as high as 10 to 15 users, which that is impressive. I don't know how true or accurate that is, but that's what I've been told when I've talked to people over there and seen demos and been in training sessions. Competitive price and supposedly really fast turnaround for people with approximately 1 to 10 or potentially up to 15 users, assuming they don't need any weird integrations or anything like that or whatnot. What's your thoughts on Uma or any experience that you've had with them?
Well, I also been into one demo with Uma, and there were some customers whom we recommended Uma, but I actually do not have some experience to explain more than this. But as the training was, and as you have trained me. It so far is one of the best options out there, though it's a little bit expensive compared to, as I always say to my customers, there's Vonage or there are few more who are just perfectly user friendly, but they are similarly cost friendly as well for them. So Uma is one of those for whom I just cannot say those words that they are going to be some price friendly option, but still they are the best ones. So I think that there must be a reason that they are a bit expensive than others.
Yeah, they're definitely in the top 10. The only real complaint that I've ever heard about Ooma is where there are features, and I don't know how true this is, just a short disclaimer for you guys, the audience out there. I've had some customers in the last couple months that wanted to switch from Ooma that said that the reason they were switching, one guy's exact words was, I love the platform. It's a great platform. I don't have any issues with them. But there are some features that the other providers include at no extra cost. And it was some basic things like virtual receptionists and stuff like that are kind of a given with other providers. His exact words was there are some features that they want, like virtual receptionists and this and that if I add those features, I'm going to end up paying more than if I went to another provider that includes those features and more. So that's probably the only complaint that I've heard from them. I've never heard any complaints about bad customer service. I've never heard any complaints about the price being too high unless they had to add more features. That was always it was oh, if I add this feature, I'm going to be paying the same or more than other providers of a higher caliber. I don't know. Any other comments or concerns on them before we move on to number 8, which is going to be a really short one because I don't know that either of us is going to know about number 8. So number 8 is Cisco. So nobody's a stranger to Cisco. Cisco is one of the big phone manufacturers out there, which actually at the time of this video, we don't actually do any reviews on any Cisco phones on the channel, and that's something that I'd like to change. I've been trying to get Cisco to send more stuff, but those phones are really expensive. Some of the providers that we work with support them, like RingCentral, and I want to say even Zoom and Dialpad support them, but Cisco is on here. I would assume the reason that Cisco is in the number 8 spot is because Cisco has a hosted voice over IP platform. I don't know anything about it. I never even have people even ask me about it, and here comes the rain, so we'll see how this goes. But what's your thoughts on Cisco, Sunita? Have you heard anything about Cisco or anything, or no? I'm curious.
Well, it's a brand which is usually even used in here in my area as well. I have heard a lot about that. But when it comes to clients, most of my clients they say that they are using Cisco phones currently, and if they can just switch to, or if they can, get them be ported with the what you can say the new
Yeah,
system, the
yeah,
system we are actually recommending them. But apart from that, I am not actually in a position to give any personal opinion because I have never heard more than anything about that.
yeah.
I mean, apart from their name.
And I'm in the same boat. I've never worked with anybody on the Cisco hosted platform or what we would call the UCAS platform. It's just people that are interested
Mhm,
in Cisco IP phones or hardware. And that's a whole other thing because you can use Cisco IP phones or hardware with Vonage or RingCentral or whatever it may be.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, moving on to number 9, Grasshopper. I don't. I don't even know that I think that they should be on the top 10 list. I mean, are they cheap? Sure, but you get what you pay for. Grasshopper's a funny one because at one point, Grasshopper was supposedly saying that they weren't going to be offering the service anymore at the end of 2019. I mean, I had an official notice from them when I had requested a quote saying that they weren't going to be offering Grasshopper service to the public by end of 2019. And then the pandemic hit, and I think they regrouped and thought, you know what, we got a potential cash cow here to be able to cash in on voice over IP services because of the pandemic and people dispersing and needing services. So I think they kind of reneged on that whole we're not going to be selling any service anymore and might be going out of business thing. Even then, I have only really ever heard nothing but bad things about their customer service and some other strange things like they're impossible to cancel and things like that. Like literally impossible to cancel to where people have said they've had to contact their bank and put in a stop hold payment to be able to do it. I've only ever had people switching, and very seldom I can count all of the people on one hand have called me looking for Grasshopper. What about you, Sunita? What's your thoughts on Grasshopper? Just be honest.
I will be because again, it's the customers who are most important for us, and most of them who have came to me talking about Grasshopper was to just get rid of it, literally, because the same issue was that they cannot just cancel the subscription or the services,
Yeah.
or yeah, it's cheaper, but again, it doesn't offers more than just a limited kind of features. And the other thing is only one or maybe two. Yes, I can just count them on fingers who have asked me to get to Grasshopper, and one was like that. Okay, if I cannot get them, I can just directly go to them because they weren't even willing to know anything about other than Grasshopper. They were so in love even without knowing them. And one was like that they actually, when I told them the rest of the list and explained a bit, then they said that okay, then they are better than this. Okay, let's go for this one or that one. So yes, I can just literally count on my fingers that people were just trying to just get rid of them, and just there were just two people who just wanted to know more about Grasshopper or just to get their services. Apart from that, I don't have any personal opinions because we are totally based on the opinions and experiences of our customers.
Yeah.
So nothing left to be said about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always found that the people that lean more towards Grasshopper, like you said, they're not so much worried about the features per se, they just want the price. Like almost everybody that I come across that's hell bent on using Grasshopper, it's that price. And again, in closing on Grasshopper before we move to number 10, you get what you pay for, really, at the end of the day. And on top of that, Grasshopper is kind of like a forwarding service. I don't really consider it a true UCAS or a true voice over IP solution. It's kind of like a forwarding service. So I almost lump people in that have Grasshopper with the same people that have Google Voice. They've gotten to a
Mm,
point with their business where the forwarding of it, Grasshopper is like Google Voice on crack, is kind of the way I like to tell customers. It's a much prettier, much more advanced version of Google Voice, but you pay for it. It's not free like Google Voice, and it's still not in the same caliber as your RingCentrals, your Nextivas, your Oomers. Definitely not in the same caliber with your Vonages and Dialpads. And that's all I have to say about that. Number 10, before we wrap up, Comcast. Now, this is a funny one because Comcast is great in the internet realm. I work with Comcast all the time across the United States for internet, and you've probably heard people, you probably worked with people, to find a UCAS solution where when you ask them what's their internet, they tell you Comcast broadband or Comcast fiber or whatever. Unless something has changed, I have never, ever, and I mean ever, had a single person out of hundreds of clients that I've worked with over the years ever call me looking for Comcast voice over IP. They only are ever calling to switch. And the reason they're calling to switch is because they say the customer service is horrible, or they say that there are specific features that it requires that are going to significantly increase their monthly bill or cost them costly hardware. And while I don't know a lot about the platform, that leads me to believe that Comcast, like a lot of the big ISPs, like Spectrum or Cox Communications and all that, while their internet is great, a lot of those guys that are using a business phone system platform, they are running on some sort of old backbone that is still based on, I don't know, SIP trunks or T1 channel or analog phone system. And that's the reason why to do some of the stuff that the normal VoIP providers can do out of the box at no extra cost, Comcast has to charge extra cost, fees, monthly costs, and sometimes hardware and stuff like that. So I would say they definitely deserve number 10 on this list, but I'm still not even sure that they should be on this list. I feel like they would be in the 11 through 20 if this was a 1 through 20 list. So what, and the customer service alone is enough to do that. So what's your thoughts there, if any? I don't know that you've worked with Comcast, but what is your thoughts?
Well, previously, in my previous job, I have worked with Comcast and with different providers, but it was regarding the internet. And when I just read that article, you shared the link with me, and I was just so surprised that why is Comcast over here? We're talking about VoIP services, right? And then there was a click on my mind that yes, they I somewhere remember that they do offer that, but again, like you, I've never heard anyone talking about that service or even asking for that service. So again, they are good at the internet. But again, when somebody is trying to get in touch with them or get a hold with them, just to talk or discuss the issues, first of all, their music is pathetic. Nobody wants to hold for
It's so
for like
cliche.
40 to 45 minutes. I'm just being honest, because the customers, they actually feel the same. And at one time, you can say, in my past, I was a customer as well myself, but I hated this part of the customer service time, where you just have to wait on hold and wait for them and just get to know conclusion. So yes, when it comes to voice services, I am not sure what they are doing over here, even at the top 10.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, that's it. You guys have it. That is Sunita in my unofficial commentary on U.S. News's what they claim to be the top 10 business phone systems for 2021. Um, Thank you so much, Sunita, for being here as always, and your opinions are always wonderful and welcome. For those of you who are watching and you've got any interest of any of these that I've mentioned on this list, we do represent, I want to say, about 80-85% of these providers on the list. Um, we are more than happy to speak with you um, and find out what it is that you need in a business phone system, and then see which one of these on the list or which other ones that we represent that may not be on this list makes sense for your business. And then we can also, of course, coordinate demos and get you special pricing and see if it makes sense or not from there for you to decide. If you found this video interesting or helpful, go ahead and give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because you're watching the #1 channel on all things business phone system and business internet related on YouTube. We upload new videos every single week, and all of our videos are basically designed to help you understand what options are out there, what may or may not be the best option for you for your business, and even help you save a little bit of money along the way. So hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any content. As always, this is Prince Rich and Sunita Allister with Rich Technology Group, your go-to folks for the best deals on business phone and internet service in the United States. We'll catch you again in the next video.